Goodbye. I love you. Have a good day. The usual words. The usual formula. I always say it when I leave home. I remember the first bombing in Jerusalem. I was 8 years old and had just returned to Israel after 6 years in the United States. It was a dark, rainy day. I heard on the radio that a bus had blown up, killing many people. I was about to leave for school, where we would be having a Purim party. There I was, all dressed up in a cat costume, with a black nose and whiskers painted on my face. I remember feeling very sad and confused. Why? I asked my mother. Why did they do it? Before leaving for school, I glanced out the window that offered a view of the whole city. Nothing seemed to have changed. A dazzling rainbow soared over the rooftops in a beautiful, graceful arc. When I arrived at school, a boy in my class told me that his sister had lost a friend in the attack. Since the Intifada has started, there have been many days when I arrived to school and find my classmates talking in hushed voices or crying in the corridors. Some know people who have just lost a parent. Sometimes people from their former schools or their youth groups are killed. One day I came to school and found my friends sobbing. A suicide bomber had exploded in a cafe 5 minutes from my school. Many people I know frequent this cafe. My friend knew 2 of the people who were killed in the blast, a father and a daughter. The father was an immigrant from the United States, a doctor who invested a lot of effort improving the emergency ward of one of Jerusalem's hospitals. He was known to have treated injured terrorists. His daughter was supposed to be married the next day. From Alon Shavut, an Israeli settlement, was shot dead at a bus stop while waiting to go home to his family for Shabbat. His friend who was with him was injured and had both legs amputated. Many girls from my school knew the 2 boys. One day, my mother called home and said she had just witnessed a blown-up bus several blocks from where she was shopping. She could see dead and injured people lying on the ground. The next day, my friend told me that her boyfriend's mother had been killed in that very same attack. So many people's lives have been destroyed in an instant. How many of them woke up thinking that today would be just another routine day? How many of them said, "Goodbye, see you later," before leaving to go to school or to work? How many did not say goodbye? So many people were killed in one flash, and all that remains of them is a small memorial plaque at the places of their death. Jerusalem is dotted with such plaques. There have been so many bombings that when I come across a plaque, I am surprised, because I can't remember when there was ever an attack at that place. During periods of frequent bombings, there were times when there were attacks almost every single day. I was too scared to ride the bus to school. Instead, I would walk an hour in each direction, even though I had to leave earlier in the morning. Each time my parents left to go somewhere, I would beg them to take a taxi instead of a bus, even though it cost more money. If they insisted on riding the bus, I would make sure they had their cell phones with them. Eventually, I decided that I could not go on living in fear forever. If God decreed that I am to die in an attack or lose a family member, I must accept my fate. A midrash compares Israel to an olive. The harder it is pressed, the finer oil it produces. I told myself that the best way to fight terror is by becoming a better person. I must become strengthened. I must appreciate all the things I have been blessed with: a complete loving family, a whole and healthy body, a good brain, and freedom, and that I must try my hardest to become a kinder, more moral person. I can't remember ever walking out of the house without saying "I love you," even when I storm out in the middle of a fight. It's sad that it takes an attack to cause us to hug our families harder and realize how fortunate we are. At night before going to bed, I hug my parents and say, "Good night, sleep well, I love you. The usual words, the usual formula. Thank God we are still a complete family. Thank God we have had one more day together.